This is the Character Word Collage Google Drawing demo. Go ahead and open up the Google Drawing document that was shared with you. It has already been formatted for you. First, we're going to put the background color in place. Locate the Shapes tool at the top. It's a circle and square icon. Hover over the full space to fill it up with a rectangle. Then go up to the paint bucket to change the color. Next, we will import our picture. Hopefully you guys downloaded that to your Google Drive. Go up to Insert, hit Drive, it'll pop up on the side. Put it on there, kind of stretch it out a little bit, not too much. Like I said, you want that border that we've already put there around it. Now we are going to start messing with the text box tool. If you go up to the text and create a box for you to type in, I like to go ahead and we can mess with some of the fonts. There's a lot to choose from. So if you click on the fonts to kind of scroll through, you can also select on something that says more fonts and it'll pop up a whole array of a lot more. Scroll through them and choose the one you would like. Once you pick out the font that you like, you can also mess with the font color, which is the A icon up there. There are a lot of colors to choose from. You can also select custom and mess with your own colors that way. Then once you get ready, you can adjust the size, bold, italicize. You can even underline it, highlight, which I'll show you here shortly. Now I'm going to speed up the video a little bit so that way we can go to the next step. I want to show you how to highlight the font to bring it out. Next to the font color, there is a little tool that looks like a pen or a highlighter of sorts, and if you highlight over the word that you want and then change the color, it'll put whatever color you want in there. Then you can kind of mess with size and all that stuff, see what works, what doesn't work. Another thing that you can mess with is rotating the word or like changing the placement of the word. And rotating is just going to be that little circle above the text box, and then just kind of click and drag to move your item. Another thing that you could try to do is elongate a word to make it go vertical. For example, one of my character words were tall, so I used the box to kind of create the length and how tall it was going to be. Now we talked about the highlighter tool, but you can also fill in the entire box by pressing on the paint bucket. You can even select it and hit gradient and hit a gradient selection, which will go from dark to light. If you don't want that, you can always remove it. Another really neat thing that you can do is if you have your word selected that you're working on, if you click on options over there on the right side, it'll give you a selection of drop-down menus. I really like to use the drop shadow effect. If you click that box and then kind of mess with the settings, it allows for really cool shadows. If you pay attention to the word tall, you'll see all the types of shadows that you can do with that. Something else you might want to try is that shape tool up at the top. There's a lot of different shapes that you can use, but you can also add text to those different shapes. You can use speech bubbles, thought bubbles, stars. I think there's a couple of hearts, circles, smiley faces, all that stuff. There are just many options that you can use with this tool. Just like with anything else, you can change the color on there. So I flipped mine to white. You can also change the outline, increase the width of the outline. You can change the pattern of it, whether you want it dotted or dashed. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with it. So to type on one of these shapes, just double click on it. A little cursor should pop up. Type in your word, highlight over it, change the font, change the color. Just make sure it all fits in a straight line, otherwise it's going to look a little choppy. Now, as you can see, I've added a couple of things. One thing I wanted to show you guys is you can get a little creative with this and use different colors. I'm doing kind of a rainbow effect on mine. So I start off with like a pink, a fuchsia color, a purple, a blue, going into a light blue to a teal, green, um, yellow, then orange. And to achieve this, just every time I type a letter, then I go back and I change the color for the next one. Something else that I like to use in that format options, if you scroll down to the bottom and you click on reflection, what it does is it reflects your word, like a mirror option. And I think it's pretty interesting to kind of mess with. It's worth a try. But yeah, you use the slide bars up there to increase the length or the transparency. Definitely worth trying. Now remember, you need 10 different character words in 10 different fonts and 10 different colors. Here's my completed example. It will be posted on Google Classroom. And that concludes this demo. Hopefully you found this helpful, and I look forward to seeing your projects.